Let's open up the charge out rate table. And I'm going to open up the instructions so we can go through them step by step in here. Now, this will take a little longer than usual. You don't have a lot of work to do in here, but I want to explain what it is that these tables represent. So, first thing, this is a service charge out rate. This is when you do time and material work, or if you're in the service industry, that's the table that you use. All right, so your average wage, that's clear enough. That's taking all the men averaging their wages. The additional expenses and the vehicle expenses, this is the total cost, your costs. Next thing is supervision. Now remember, the supervision, even if you don't have a supervisor on site, you're supervising your crew, then you need to be compensated somehow. 15% is what I used to charge for my company's supervision. 15% is what I recommend to all our clients on our own crew. Now, the overhead, again, that's a calculation you need to figure out yourself what it is. Remember that what you have to calculate is the cost to operate your company versus your sales. That'll give you a margin. Now, if you don't understand the difference between a margin and a markup, is that a margin is the number, the cost calculated against the sales. But to achieve these costs, that margin, you need to put a markup, which is a different number. So let me take you in here and explain that and show you. So if I want a markup of 6.5%, or 6.6, pardon me, 6.6%, my margin would be 6.2%. But if I'm looking for a margin of, say, 7%, then you can see that the markup is greater. All right, so you will need to calculate the margin of your financial statements. Go back to this table, enter the margin amount, and that'll give you the markup you need to put in here. Okay, next item is the profit. Well, that's an arbitrary number. How much money do you want to make per hour? You can make 11%, you can make 15%. In our case, it was always 15% at a minimum. And our overhead actually was about 6.5%, which is the number you want to strive for. Now remember, that number, that 49.40, is your charge out rate that you need to make the profits that you want to make. But if the industry or the market allows you to increase that price, then by all means increase it. But I would not reduce it. All right, let's move on to overtime. So it's the same thing. If you have over 1.5 hour or 1.5 time premium for overtime, then you just put 1.5 in here and it'll give you the rate you should be charging. If it's double time, then change it to 2. Again, your overhead, your supervision 15%, overhead 6.5%, and profit is 15%. Remember, these numbers are just samples. You can use any numbers you want. All right, now that's finished. We're finished with this. This is the charge out rate for any time and material work. Now, we call this a estimating charge out rate because this is the rate that you'll be using for estimating in Isaac estimating module. And the reason for that, the reason is lower than this one, is because there are costs that you're going to be adding in the estimating table. And if you put them in here as well, if you use that amount, then there's a duplication. So we separate that, and this is an absolute cost that you'll be using for estimating. So in this case, based on the crew that we've got in here, it's $32.02 per hour. Okay, that's a premium if they're doing any overtime rate. Again, this is the rate that you use for estimating when you use the estimating table. If you're doing time and material work, this is what you're using. If you're doing overtime work, that's the number you use. This table is to calculate only the markup versus margins, or margin versus markups. Now, you can see this button. You see this button sends change order or charge out rate to estimate. So to keep your estimating table current with this charge out rate, you press this button. If you're using this table to update your charge out rate in your estimating, then once you've done all the calculations, press this button in here. It'll send this number to you to Isaac estimating module, and it'll be always updated every time you change your rate. You press this button, it updates it in the estimating table. All right, this is done. We can move on to the next phase.